Hello, my fellow foam flinging enthusiasts. It's Andrew, aka Dart Sweep, and welcome to another episode, a very fun foam flinging filled episode of the Foam Zone. Zone. We're gonna get a soundboard one of these days, I promise. If this is your very first time joining us here on the Foam Zone is a bi-weekly live streaming show where we have special guests that are people throughout the foam flinging hobby community, whether it be foam flingers themselves, modders, designers, creators, club admins, HVZ club officers, anyone that is has anything or any passion to do with the foam flinging hobby. We love to have them on the show. And if that's something you're interested in, or you want to showcase and share something, we would love to have you on here. So reach out to us, DM us, and we'll get you on here. As many of you know, please do not visit the website currently. It is under construction, which is a good thing. As we said, we are getting things updated and working to where we had envisioned them. So stay tuned. But in the meantime, feel free to join our Discord, hit that like and subscribe button on this YouTube channel. These shows between Foam Zone, Get Off My Lawn, and the shorts and everything originally was considered to be supplemental material for the website until we got that going, and here we are still doing that. But it takes time to build things, and we're getting there. And yeah, so as you can see, site is under construction. But go ahead and give us that thumbs up. Give us a like, tell your friends, and let's foam fling together. Foam fling. Let's fling some foam together. So, and again, the whole point is to be able to connect to each other, kind of a centralized hub, find where clubs are, people are in where you're that are in your area, and where some events, large scale local events, are happening. So we'll get there. So appreciate your patience, and appreciate you guys for joining us this evening. Really fun show this evening. Super excited about our guest. But before we bring him on and introduce him, just a couple quick housekeeping announcements. Also, I'd like to say hello to our audience. We got General Strife in the house, of course. Looks like we got Louie and Wizard Builds. What's up, guys? How are you? Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. If you guys have anything that you guys are privy to or excited about, or that you guys have any news on, go ahead and drop that down in the live chat section. We'd love to see what you guys have been up to for the past couple weeks. So housekeeping, a couple of, well, more than a couple, really exciting lineup of events coming up. I think first off, the March 1st weekend, we have Sub-Zero happening up in the New York area. So I think they may be out of tickets already, but I'm not sure. Go ahead and join their Discord, or go on Facebook. I think they have more information regarding that. And that's a lot of fun, and it's going to a good cause. And then in April, I believe, the weekend of April 20th, Bain, the Blaster Association of New England, will be having their big weekend event. It sounds like a lot of fun. They're hosting it on some type of base or installation or fort, something like that. It's $20 for registration. They're going to have a comp. They are also having some missions. I think they do objective-based missions throughout the compound. So it sounds like it's a lot of fun from what I've heard from the last ones. So highly recommend you checking it out if you're available. That's the weekend of April 20th. I think they have registration that is available through the Discords and online. So if you need more information, go check that out. And then, of course, we have Maryland Mayhem coming up in May. Weekend of May 9th, 10th, and 11th, Mother's Day weekend. Bring your mother, bring your significant other, beg them, and tell them to join the Zombie Horde with us. It will be a lot of fun. Of course, we got the Maryland Foam Tournament on Friday. 18 teams duking it out for top top bragging rights. And then on Saturday, we have flipped the script a little bit from last year. We'll be having the 11th hour blaster battle, casual PvP, with some fun prizes and giveaways and all your favorite vendors at BlasterCon right on the field next door. So great opportunity to fling some foam and see some of your favorite hobbyists throughout the community and pick up some stuff, and we be shopping. So hope you guys can make that. And then on Sunday is the main event, the UMBC HVZ Invitational. If you go online, there's a lot of posts that are being put up for that regarding that. So I think it's space themed this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. It always is. So if you're available, come on down and let's slay some zombies. And then where are we? We have Boiler Dome, I think, mentioned they were doing something. I forget what their date was. I think that might be back in March, actually. We're also patiently waiting for the announcement of End War, Maul Mutation Madness, and Ragnarok. I think actually did announce their date, but I'm not sure what it is off the top of my head. So that's a really busy year, exciting year. Oh, and of course, APOC and BPOC. I forgot that, of course. And I think they have moved that to the second week of August this year. We'll get some type of confirmation with that. But looks like Joe Xbox Games has joined us. How are you? Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, so. And it sounds like our guest has more information regarding events as well, so maybe they'll be able to help us. But without further ado, why don't we use that opportunity to bring our guest on for the evening. I had the pleasure of meeting our guest back in 2020, I want to say, at local Maryland Nerf herder events. I think this guest is well known for traversing the globe, the United States, to go to various events. I'm sure at one point or another, if you have attended any event, they have popped up there running a very random, fun, silly blaster and doing extremely well with it. They are known throughout the hobby for publishing a very informative website that I highly recommend you go check out. Lots of great information if you haven't done so already. I know him as Buffdaddy, but you guys know him as Buffdaddy Nerf, hailing all the way from the Ohio area. How are you?
Doing great, and also happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. I think I'm going to stop calling you B. Diddy, though, just for the circumstances that are going on now for now. So how are you, man? Good to see you.
Doing good. It's been a little slow making it to events as of recent, but, still playing here and there, reviewing things, and just working and doing things with the wife. So it's been a good life, and hopefully a lot more. Yeah.
Nice. No news is good news. Can't complain too much. I like that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So why don't you just go ahead and introduce yourself, who you are, tell us about yourself a little bit outside of the hobby, and then we'll kind of go into kind of how all this craziness escalated to this point where you are now.
Okay. Well, I'm apparently one of the old people at this point, because 35 counts as old for compared to how many people we have doing everything. But I am a dude from Central Ohio. During the day job, I'm working at Nestle doing quality control stuff. And in free time, I am reviewing blasters, making or running dumb things like you said, and just trying to have the most fun I absolutely can with the hobby.
Very cool. Now, I think inquiring minds would like to know, where did the name Buffdaddy Nerf come from?
Okay, that was a long time ago. This was like middle school, long time ago, and it was literally just someone's screen name that they had on their Xbox at a Halo 2 LAN tournament. And that's the one I picked. We had a bunch of fun. They were trying to figure out who the heck was Buffdaddy. And that's kind of turned into a running joke ever since. Because even when we got to the early days of Nerf Haven, everything else, going to events, you're looking for a Buffdaddy and you get this. So
Now, I know, at least as far as I know, you've been in this hobby or the community since at least what, 2006?
two, 2008.
2008.
Yeah. Yeah, 2008 would have been me going off to college, us having our dorm floor Assassin's games, and one of the options that because it was a progressive like RPG setup, so as you scored your kills on people, you could upgrade to do things. One of them being Nerf blasters, so that went down the rabbit hole to finding Nerf Haven and modifying things, and then the first real organized wars that I went to. There was one in Detroit in fall of 2009. That was a small one, but the big one was a Massacre 6, I think it was. They ran so many events, the numbers blend together. But the guys over in Toronto, so all your old guys, Forsaken Angel, Crooked, so many other people. That's who I really played with first. So that's why I have appeared everywhere and now do so many Canadian things, apparently, as well.
Sorry.
Yes.
Can you tell us how did you actually get into foam flinging? You kind of mentioned, you were doing Assassins in college, but did you play with blasters as a kid? And then,
As a kid, the only thing I ever had was one of the old bazookas. So that was
nice.
it. And until I got to college, didn't really do anything. And at that point, it was, okay, well, ride the bus down to Toys R Us, see what's on the shelf, and that's all your in-strike stuff was on shelves at that point. So your long shots, Vulcans, everything else. So between modifying a long shot and beginning to hit thrift stores and grab random things like I'd spend the week with like a wrist blitzer on my arm in case someone I needed to go after popped up in front of me, and just whip it out and get them, and it just turned into a spiral. Oh, and General Strife, regular bazooka, yeah.
So what is it about foam flinging or blasters that kind of attracts you to this and has kind of kept you in the hobby and doing what you're doing?
I mean, it's been just how many things you can do with it. Because, I mean, obviously our little shenanigans trying to eke out as much power out of a tiny blaster as possible. This day and age we have pro blasters on shelves, but we've run the gamut from slap PVC barrels on a big blast to try to make things take magazines that shouldn't take magazines to just fire ammo you're not supposed to. There's so many ways to have fun with everything, and it's always fresh.
Now I'm seeing you show up to events with what some would be hesitant to run just on reliability's sake, and I see you having it doesn't really matter about performance or anything like that. You just like having fun. I think is a big element of why you like it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what was it? The last Maryland Mayhem actually might have been, yeah, the not this past one, but the one before that. It was running around with a Rev Reaper all day, and it was just tons of fun. And then this past year, it was using Vortex and everything else, just because, I mean, you can. I mean, inherently, there's a lot of risk to doing things when you have such limited range or capabilities, but it's there. Use it. Have fun.
That's right.
And
And
then and then if I
go
have to
ahead.
absolutely do something, serious, I have blasters for doing that too, whether that's modded or it's like just a Nexus Pro X off the shelf.
Right. And we're showing some comp footage, and we'll get into that a little bit later. Do you remember the first blaster that you ever got? And then do you also remember the first blaster that you ever, how did you get into modding, and
Okay,
what got
modding.
you into that?
Okay, the first blaster I got for myself and modded would have been a Nerf long shot that we added an AR-15 buffer spring to instead of the mainspring, which was nice and powerful, but also really freaking loud and using streamlines. So that was not the best. And then going down the rabbit hole of doing homemade darts, because this is back in the day of foam back rod and hot glue and weights in the heads. End up modding a big bad bow, a big blast, and then I just dove in and did Doomsayer because I had access to stuff and I was going to Canada for the one game, so why not?
Now,
So
was this something that you discovered, or that you just started doing yourself, or were you watching videos, or?
it was initially watching videos, searching for Nerf mods, and then stumbling across Nerf Haven, and it was and actually not even a lot of videos at that point because we were still doing forums and everything else. So it
Right.
was reading. So I know what a strange concept. Um, but reading through that, and then just as everyone was sharing the stuff they were building, and we were all copying each other and then building on what other people had done, and it it was just never ending cycle of make a new thing, try it out. If it works, great. If it doesn't, well, you have more work to do.
And what have been some of your favorite blasters that you've done or modified, or that you've run, that you think are just extremely fun, silly?
Okay. Depends on what it is. I mean, you've seen me do comp games, whether it's Nexus Pro or Dark Zone Pro Mark III that has a Pen Blaster's cage in it. But if it's anything else, oh dear lord, you run the gamut from doing silly vortex builds to I made sure to bring this up out of the basement
Let's
at
see it.
one point for HBZ, because we were going to a lot of the New York games where large ammo was used for specials, and I just combined two motorized bazookas together to hold 30 balls.
That's
So
amazing.
stuff like that. I know Glenifer has the one build I did a while back that was a Mega Mastodon front, a Busby Boss magazine. Well, helps if I can drop that. And a Stampede for the back that's the pusher for doing everything. So if it was big and weird and it could serve a purpose, I was going to use it and bring it with me.
Absolutely, yeah. That's a lot of fun. Stripe said, "Whoa." I think when you brought that
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. The rotation isn't the best, but overall, after all these years, it still works. So, I mean, it's just open it up every once in a while, tweak it, and then it's ready to go again.
So, being someone that's been in the hobby for so long, 2008, what was it like on Nerf Haven, Nerf Reddit, and then like going to events, and then kind of how tell us the journey or the story of kind of how you've become this journeyman of who goes to
Going
all these
everywhere.
events.
Yes. Well, obviously, we had me doing forum stuff, showing up at random things everywhere, whether it was Canada, there was the group in Chicago, you had I'm drawing a blank on their names, but I'm sure someone in chat will remember all the old Chicago guys that did the plus bows, pump bows, and everything else. Came the Mediocre and that crew. Now I remember. lived in Ohio, so this was the point where Coop was still playing,
Right.
so and active, so did stuff with him. And then after college, moving back home, uh, made it to fewer games, and then discovered HVZ, which had been going on for many years by that point, but I hadn't actually been exposed to it any. So it just started my new thing of going. And at one point, I was in my own apartment. I was working a job that was 410s Monday through Thursday. So I had 3-day weekends for traveling and driving wherever. So you would have me doing like 4 HVZs in a month.
Wow.
Not necessarily healthy, but I was doing it.
No, there's something about it. I remember, when I first started playing, and then especially when I discovered HVZ was being played twice a week at UMBC. I counted it between the Maryland events and the UMBC events. It was 12 events every month I would go to, essentially. So two night missions at UMDC a week, and then we would have our three Maryland Foam Alliance events, local events.
That's a lot more doable than my antics driving around. Because I was doing 8-hour drives to like New Paltz or Binghamton, or going the other way to Chicago area or St. Louis, or even down to Atlanta. So it was lots of living out of the car for trips, and just living for the moment, I guess.
Sure. And then I guess that kind of goes into my next question is, what is it about foam flinging that attracts you and that you love, that makes you live for the moment, that you're willing to go travel everywhere?
Oh my gosh, we have so many weird people that I absolutely love.
Facts.
Yes,
I mean, really,
absolutely.
that's what it comes down to.
Yes, yes, it's taken me. I'm not the most social person, but going out, and whether it's just shooting each other, or huddling in groups trying to shoot zombies while we're running away, trying to figure out what the heck's going on, you get to know a lot of cool people, and that's made the whole thing even more worth it than just doing it as a fun hobby on the side.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I think innately what ends up happening is, like you said, some of us are not the most social people, but when you get there, something just clicks and changes, and Drac kind of said it once. You kind of find your tribe, and I
Absolutely,
think it's
yeah.
true. Yeah,
Yeah, you
absolutely. You
start
find your
asking
tribe.
people about, looking at their blasters, seeing what they're doing. You go to the games, you have moments of like very serious, let's do this objective, followed by moments of hold my beer, watch this. Especially in HBZ, because we do so many dumb things that don't always work out, but but those are where the fun memories are.
Absolutely. And then, it goes, past that, and hanging out outside of games and events, and leads, you compete with a team. We're going to go over that, but
Yeah,
they're obviously a Canadian team, and you're from Ohio, so it
close enough,
transcends. Yeah, close enough. That's right. It's all the same. Canadians,
it's
Ohioans.
within the border patrol exclusion zone, whatever it is, a 100-mile thing. So it's close enough.
That's right. So, what would you say, or what have you noticed or observed that has changed throughout the time since you started, and where we are now?
The obvious thing is the accessibility. Because we had 2019, 2020. Here we have Dart Zone Pro Mark One going online for sale. That was just, we think there's a market because there's these yahoos modifying their blasters to do things. So do we want to dip our toes and go farther? And now that's just turned into, 3 big companies putting things on physical store shelves, and even more options if you're looking online. Uh, so yeah, the accessibility to more power is the definite big thing. Um, The other thing I'd say is now that we've reached a point where I don't want to say it's a plateau, but it's, we've upped from in strike elite, 70 FPS or so, to we have things doing 80, 90, 100 FPS off the shelf as a default. So now that we have a common ground to start from, there's it's gotten more serious with a small dash of completely silly things. Because I mean, like what's the double punch? A $40 thing with little barrels going in and out, that hit shelves and like sold wildly. Whether we care about money or not, it's just silly things like that are fun.
Yeah.
Captain Xavier got the stuff mailed to him earlier this month. That Dart Zone apparently has the pirate blasters that are just flintlock action, just have fun putting darts down range. It's nice being able to circle around to things that remind you of when you were a kid, because it doesn't have to be serious all the time.
Absolutely, and I think that's one of the things, at least at our local events, we try to do lower FPS games, or at one of the clubs we'll do stock blasters only, and that's for one reason is to give a chance for new players that have never been to a war before, a chance to get their feet wet and not get completely, owned by, a 200 FPS Dart Zone or a worker blaster.
Even then, it's a low FPS thing, but I'm sure Boomstick has whatever the latest thing he's printed using silly shells firing Mega XL and other things like that. Because I mean, that's 3D print everything. We can make everything we want, including the silly stuff. So,
my point was, I think people get, I think people get so distracted by FPS chasing and just maximizing performance that sometimes we forget. Oh, hey, there are these.
It's not an
silly
arms race. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And you get the X-Shot unicorn, or what was it? The unicorn?
The unicorn pistol. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love things like that, and it's always fun when those actually make it onto the field for our wars. So
and you see us just running around with them. I was like, okay, this might end badly, but we're doing it. Yeah.
So speaking of blaster, what are some of your most memorable favorite blasters that you've run at events? One that comes to mind is what were you running at Survival Fest the first year they had it? The Boba Fett.
Oh man, the first Survival Fest, I was running everything. Like every round, it was something different. At one point, it was with using the Boba Fett blaster thing and like a few socks on me, and somehow surviving, even though that should not have happened. But it was just we're here to have fun. Let's tempt fate.
Yeah, I think you're a perfect example of not having to have a super heavy rig to survive the zombie horde. You just kind of whatever. Honestly, I would want you during. Yeah, I would want you with me during the apocalypse, because you'd just be able to use whatever is lying around and survive. And you do pretty well. But yeah, what are some other blasters that you've run that are memorable to you that you think are fun?
I mean, like we've mentioned, doing Vortex or the Rev Reaper that I was running in Maryland. Let's see. The things I remember having the most fun are the specialty things like that Ballzooka monstrosity. There was another one, I don't have it anymore, but it was actually two Ravonix 360s that were smashed together, so it held 60 discs. So it was just being able to spam things at slow speed, especially in HVZ, if everyone's trying to hit 100, 130 FPS, and then suddenly have a cloud of slow moving things going at you. It just throws everything off. So
Right.
it's the most memorable things are doing the specialty ammo when there's a clear reason for doing it.
Right. Yeah, using blasters with special ammunition and actually when they actually work is it's always
Oh
a good
yes,
time.
that part is important. I have died
So
many times to that to things failing.
let, let's talk about ammo since you've seen a lot of ammo in your days. What are some of your favorite ammos that you run that you like to run?
um, these days I'm since I'm not making it to as many games, it's mainly just been short darts at this point.
Short
So
darts, sure.
yeah, one of those slow periods. But if it wasn't that, it would be running Vortex, um, running Boomco, because I still have a go bag in my basement that's like 10, 40 dart clips, a flip bow, and just grab it if I need to, like, run away somewhere after work and just have something on me, because I've used that for Mall Mutation Madness and a bunch of other things where it's just, okay, go, it works, and it's the ammo capacity is what I would need for something insane like that.
And then for HVZ, what's your favorite specialty ammo to play with?
Oh man, it's always ballistic balls. I mean, you have no range, but when you actually hit people, it's just so satisfying. Being able to pull off things with, because I mean I have the thing behind me. I have three of the, I'm going blank on the name, but it's the little uh, three pistols that have the rubber diaphragm that you press the ball in, and then it's basically a ballistic ball jolt. Uh, I'm sure someone in chat will correct me on what that is. Uh, Atom Blaster, something like that. But doing that, and then, but yeah, or Atomizer, that might be it. But yeah, just anything big that you can get a hilarious kill with, even if it's very much not in your interest to be running at people with it.
So let's see. Yeah, the atomizer. That we're not
Yeah.
sure. That does sound right though. Let's see. Oh, Alex has joined us. Favorite HVZ socks and foam stress balls. Yeah, no, I've actually recently discovered that I'm actually just better throwing darts than I am with a blaster. So, which is very, very sad, but also,
But if it's allowed,
yeah, no, if it's allowed, it's reassuring because, yeah. So, but yeah, I'm was a little disappointed to learn that, but at least I'll survive
play
a
more
little bit
games.
longer
That's
this way.
always the
That's right.
solution. Play more.
That's right. That's right. So, so you're from the Ohio area, and
Yes.
you have a YouTube channel. If anyone hasn't seen that, I highly recommend checking that out. Lots of good gameplay footage, and I like POV game footage, which is what I think you primarily focus on a lot
Yeah.
these days.
Yeah,
I
it's
like it
mainly just point
because
of view and just kind
sure,
of supplementing what I'm writing about. So, I mean,
sure.
you have the post, but you also have the video of showing the thing in action. So,
Right. But if you look at those videos, a lot of them are at an indoor airsoft arena. I think it's Kane, right? Is a
yes, yeah,
lot of it.
Cincinnati
Yeah.
area Nerf enthusiasts. Yep.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about some of the clubs and the clubs in the Ohio area that you've gotten a
Mhm.
chance to play at.
I mean, that is by far the place I attend, club I attend the most. And I mean, it's the second floor of an old warehouse that's been
I think we have a
set up.
video of you playing
Yeah,
there
oh yeah.
too. Also.
Uh, uh, let's see if we can find the scooter video, because I mean, this is
There we go.
this is yeah, because it's second floor of a warehouse that's set up for airsoft, and like twice a month we have Nerf games going on there, and I get to participate and do dumb things like you're watching right now. The second Nerf scooter, when it came out, I was like, well, we're starting the game now. The floor is clean and we're not destroying ammo yet. Let's run it and see what happens. It was it effective? Not necessarily, but it was absolutely fun to use, and I still got some kills with it. So,
So
but
tell
yeah,
us about Kane. Kane, where it's located and
yeah,
kind of the.
it's Cincinnati area. It's like you see, there's tons of cover everywhere. It's depending on the weekend, it's either 200 FPS limit or 160, with a slight caveat if you're doing something like full auto, the FPS cap is lower because we have so many things that hit accurately and can go 10 to 20 darts a second at this point that you want people to actually
I've seen
enjoy
the people
themselves.
that play there. You guys go
Yes.
hard for sure.
Yeah. But I mean, with the amount of cover that's there, you can literally make anything work. Whether it's finding a lane to use whatever springer or flywheel you have on you to pin things down, or if you're darting from cover to cover to try to get close to people or get to an objective. So it's probably out of all the places I play, it's the most consistently fun. Because I mean, even the owner, like every couple months, stuff gets switched up, so the cover's in a new spot. So
Right.
it's not a static field. Even if the general layout's the same, you'll come back and be like, oh, I don't remember that passageway being there. This messes up my plan. So it's such a consistently good experience there.
Yeah, and we've had the opportunity to play at an indoor airsoft arena down in Richmond area, and it is a lot of fun. And again, if anyone has an opportunity to get a chance to go to Kane or some type of a indoor arena like that,
Oh
I
yeah,
would
if you have the
recommend
opportunity, it's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember, oh gosh, I think RJ was telling me, or someone was it Thomas or Michael was telling me you guys get a great deal, or somehow it just works out where you guys are able to.
Yeah. The guy who runs it is basically retired and is kind of just doing this for fun. So I mean, we're paying like $10 for the a head for the event basically. So on Saturdays it's like 7 hours. On Sundays it's like a 4 hour event. So for how little we pay, it's it just
Completely
adds,
worth it.
it just adds so much to it. Yeah.
Looks like
Hey,
Al the
Geek's
Geek
alive.
has joined
Yes.
us. Heyo, Al the Geek. If you guys are in the Washington, D.C. area, Al the Geek and myself and a few other people are going to be down at the Gaylord National for KatsuCon anime convention, selling some wares and having a good time. So if you're in the area and you like anime, come on down. Pay us a visit. Al the
Yes.
Geek.
Al will have so many miniguns, and we'll find out if he has nearly enough.
Give him money.
Yes.
I don't know if we should talk about comp and then go into kind of like Blaster Hub, or we should talk about Blaster
let's
Hub
go with
and then
comp. Let's go comp. Yeah.
Cool, awesome. So another thing is you are a comp player and you play for A Team. So tell us a little bit about your comp experience in playing for A Team, and we'll be seeing you this year, hopefully as well at Maryland
For
Mayhem.
Maryland, of course we will. But yeah, playing with A Team. I mean, by this point, it would have been like 2019 area. I had known Jeff and Jeff Blue and other Jeff Hixie from doing HV stuff in the Canada area, and it was just like, hey, we're looking for people for doing NWAR, for doing Foam Pro tournament. Do you want to do it? And it's like, yeah, why not? Because they have me that played in Canada all the time. They have Colin that lives in Buffalo and is playing in Canada all the time. So it was as Canadian as we could possibly get under the circumstances. But then doing stuff with A Team ever since, it was NWAR 2019. I was running a dual cage Fortnite AR with Krakens and Daybreaks in it to get up to 200 FPS. Radfest 2019, we had a team light that was me, Jeff Blue, and some local pickups, and we did way better than we expected to. And then once, COVID hit, stuff slowed down, as everyone knows. And then as things started picking back up, it was, us getting the gang back together again, playing at uh, Foam Pro Tour 2023 or Dart Zone Foam Pro Tour, and then for playing for Maryland Mayhem, all going down there and getting a Airbnb and running our asses off, and then going to HBZ afterwards and realizing, oh, I'm tired. This is not going to end well. But it's been fun playing with them for everything, and at this point, it's comp. We'll take it seriously. I like I mentioned at the beginning, using a Dart Zone Pro Mark III with a Bandblaster's cage, or if there's an opportunity for doing something like a Nexus Pro X or something like that shoots hard and it's reliable, run that too. Or use my wife's FDL, because that's always in there in case something breaks.
FDL, yeah, I'm afraid to use mine because I don't want it to break. So, as a comp player who kind of played casual, or actually started playing the assassin game, but then started playing casual, and then HBZ, and then comp comes around. What kind of transitions or changes did you have to make, or what is your approach or philosophy to doing comp versus HVZ and casual PvP? Would you say
that was the fun part, was I didn't have to make that many adjustments, other than the important thing, listening to teammates, because my usual playing style is just running around doing silly things with whatever blaster, so it could be shooting 50 FPS for all we care. But if I'm making all the small stuff work, then largely making the big stuff, the grown-up kids toys work, is a walk in the park comparatively. Just take a few minutes to realize, hey, I'm shooting a lot straighter than I normally do, and then you're ready to go. It's been a matter of just being able to listen to teammates yelling things out on the side, spot things, and work together as a unit.
Sure.
That's the thing I've had to work the most on.
And I think it's challenging also when you don't get the opportunity to practice on a regular basis, and you show up to these events, and just kind of are thrown together, or maybe you played the night before, get some reps in, every now and then. But
it's a little hard. I mean, we usually try to get at least one practice together beforehand, whether it's driving up to, I think the past couple years it's been reserved a indoor sports thing in New York, and I think both times it was us and Rochester or Flower City that were all just got together and just did a comp practice, because we have actual teams we can get together and kick the dust off.
Sure, absolutely.
Us being spread out does make it a challenge. Makes us completely jealous of you guys in Maryland.
Well, not just us, but it sounds like a lot of people are starting to get together and practice on a regular basis. So I'm super excited to see, especially Maryland Mayhem. This looks like there's a lot of teams that are. Let's just say there's no really kind of amateur noob team that's competing this year. Yeah, which is really exciting. I will say I did notice, because we competed. I was on Magic Smoke and for FPT Q2 back in 22, and I do remember. I noticed when you were playing, you ran a lot. Actually, you were playing the objective to send to the goal line. Is actually was your strategy.
Yeah. I mean, it's real easy to get pinned down if you aren't you can either just find cover, do your best to take out the other team, or you can just attack and try to push harder than they're able to respond. So, and depending on what the scoring scheme is, then it's a lot better to attack than it is to be defending. Because like the change that they made in Maryland was first touch on the flag gets points, and that fixed so many problems of teams just turtling. So, stuff like that just makes it an exciting game, whether you're physically playing in it or you're on the sidelines watching. There's actual action instead of just waiting for people to. Maybe that hit. No, still behind cover.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm super excited to see we made a couple small tweaks to the game rules this year, but nothing major. But I am excited to kind of see how things like the breakout boxes and things are gonna. So it's gonna be a lot of fun.
That and you're retooling it so that literally all the games matter for getting into the final thing. So it's gonna be fun. Yeah.
So let's talk about. Well, first of all, if anyone in the chat has any questions for Buff, go ahead and drop those down. A friendly reminder: give us a thumbs up, like, and subscribe if you haven't already. Website is under construction. We'll be getting more updates for that as soon as possible.
Well, General Strife, what flavor of Fortnite AR? It was the I forget the character, but the translucent blue one. It's actually still hanging up in the basement. The rear flywheels, the motors died, and I never got around to fixing it, but I need to at some point.
I wish I had some footage from Survival Fest, because I think I got a decent amount of you next time. But let's talk about Blaster Hub, because I think that's one of I think that's your largest contribution to the hobby, aside from being the journeyman of going to all these events. But yeah, I think let's talk about Blaster Hub, kind of how that was created, the evolution of it, and how you operate that, because that takes a lot of work. And again, if you guys haven't seen Blaster Hub, highly recommend you go check it out.
Okay. Well, initially I started writing, and this was back in the day. It was just a regular blogspot website, buffdaddynerf.blogspot.com, and during college, and I just kept that up while we were after college, moving into my apartment and everything. 2016 area, somewhere around there. But at that point, Blaster Labs, as the site was originally known, was publishing stuff online. And at one point, they changed their name to Blaster Hub, and they were envisioning getting like a group of people just writing stuff on and off for it. So I joined that, and I just left my old website up for posterity's sake, because I always needed to refer back to something somewhere at some point. There's a picture somewhere that you need talking about things in the future. But after a few years, it turned into I was the only one left writing anything, so I just ended up buying the website outright. So I am the sole owner, author, everything, and then maybe on occasion, like Brain, one of our guys from 5 Minute Respawn, would write something up that he was trying in HVZ, or someone else might do something as a guest thing, but 99.9% it's just me reviewing things.
Sure. So why don't you tell people that don't know what Blaster Hub exactly is, aside from it being a website?
Okay. Oh yeah. Well, it's mainly, it acknowledges that modding and competitive things exist, but it doesn't cater to it. Because it's still a website that has really good search engine optimization. So if you're standing in Walmart at the shelf looking up something, that it will pop up on the first page for Google results of doing stuff. So it's, doing stuff with a general consumer in mind, and then there's a paragraph or two at the end if it's something noteworthy with tear it apart, see what it looks like on the inside, or oh, this is a fun thing. While I was at it, I designed a flywheel cage for it. So if anyone else wants to have fun with it, go ahead. But yeah, it's mainly just for general consumption, and somehow by that token, it has survived to the point where I am still able to get enough views to qualify for going to Toy Fair or get packages from Dart Zone or Hasbro or whatever company to be able to review and post about things.
Sure.
I still spend way more of my own money than I get packages from people, but the little token box every once in a while is appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we do stuff, is to get free stuff, right? A couple questions. Dead Man's Foam is asking what printers you are using currently, and Alex is asking how would you run a Star Wars something there's missing.
We'll get to that one. Printers. The two printers I have, there is an Ender 5 Plus. It's also having so many issues that I'm probably going to get rid of it and get something else. And then I have an old off-brand Micro Center 3D printer that's in its own enclosure for doing ABS prints for when I decide I want to do something silly that, like the flywheel cage or something that's going to get a lot of heat thrown at it.
So you're not running a Bamboo. You're running some classics.
Yeah, classic at this point. I'm gonna have to get a Bamboo or something at this point because with the Ender 5 down, I don't like waiting when I have projects I want to do.
It's so big. It's so big also, and then you see the Bamboo and the Bamboo quality.
You try a new thing try to fix it, and it's like, okay, first layer good. Second layer, good. Third layer, well, crap. It's been fighting with it, so we'll just have to get rid of it. AJ's question. Star Wars themed HBZ. I mean, heavy on puzzles and missions. HBZ, having puzzles is fine. Make them simple, because people lose attention quickly. And, yeah. HBC is like herding cats, so make your life as easy as possible. As far as saber combat, I would say copy things you've seen, like from Mall Mutation Madness or Ragfest, where you could, as a human, use a melee, but that was like the only thing you had, and make sure it's something soft and short, because human melee can get overpowered very quickly.
I'm gonna make the recommendation.
If you're insistent on the Star Wars theme, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna make the recommendation of actually take a look at some video games that do mini games, actually, that may have some of the elements of the games that you're looking for puzzles and mission types. Because I think mini games and video games are really simple and would make for good
that'd be perfect
objective.
Examples.
Yeah. So that's my recommendation. Hope that helps.
Oh yeah, because I mean we've done HBZs where it was like they threw a Sudoku puzzle at you, and it was like, oh, this is going to take so long because the person we need for doing the Sudoku is currently a zombie.
That's right. One mini game that I thought was really, one mission I thought was really good at NWAR 2022 was an invisible maze you had to do, and they had they just kind of had a border lined out and squares, and you would step through the squares and basically Squid Game your way through, kind of, stepping on the right squares to make sure you follow the path. But I thought that was a lot of fun. So I think games like that.
There's something like that at one of the Survival Fests too. And I mean, it was an easy concept to understand and do. Also easy to mess up, but everyone understood what was going on, and it was you got through the thing, whether it meant, oops, you made a mistake, zombie respawn.
Right. And then for like a saber combat thing, I don't know, like pool noodles, and then just have some melee aspect to it might be kind
Yeah,
of fun or something like that.
yeah, it'd be funny, but really, at most you want maybe two humans at most with short noodles, and that's the only thing they're using.
I think we've done. I think we tried melee or something like that. Pool noodles at Mayhem, and we had to revise the rule just for the larger scale
Yeah,
numbers and
yeah,
everything.
it can get really bad really fast. Yeah.
Safety first. Something that really impresses me, or I don't know how you do it. I'm sure you do a lot of research, but what impresses me, especially people like Bots and Talanax and Brain, your repository of blaster knowledge and all the blasters that have come out. How do you acquire that? I mean, again, you said that you kind of picked this up in college, but at this point,
Yeah.
I know that you know every blaster, that
Or
you've come
most of them
across
at
at this
least.
point. Yeah.
I mean between the old days of lots of reading to come across everything, and just when you fall down the rabbit hole and you've gone to so many thrift stores, seen so many people use things, you start getting familiar with everything, and then when something pops up that's a complete surprise and you're like, I have never seen that. What is that? It gets really exciting.
Right. So, what would you say is Blaster Hub's main goal, main mission, and what's your overall approach? How do you approach that?
Uh, ma- Main goal is, this is a kid's toy. You're buying it to have fun with it, and all that being said, these are the reasons why this thing here is going to be way more fun than the thing next to it. That's the best way to sum it up. Because I mean, we have stinkers that get released every year. We have things that are absolutely perfect, and we have things that are almost perfect. But if we tinker with it some, it becomes amazing. It's it's just there to be informative and have fun with it.
Sure. Now, when you're doing a Blaster review, are you looking at the blaster as are going to events and reviewing it, or are you doing first initial impressions?
Uh, it's only an initial impression if it's something like really crazy or interesting, or that we can just have fun making a short video. Because I mean, if you look on the YouTube, I'm sure there's shorts of that you can easily find of my wife shooting me with super soakers in like 0-degree weather with snow outside, because why not? uh, but most of the time it's bring it with me to an event, have actual playtime with it, because it feels like if you don't use the blaster enough, you're not going to come across the little quirks that make it better or worse, or you don't always find the things that break when they
Right.
shouldn't.
Right. So do you have any tips or advice for anyone that may want to do something like a blaster hub where they provide information regarding blasters? There's not a lot of resources. Again, World Foam Alliance is trying to do their thing. But yeah, there really aren't a lot of, I know the Out of Darts has their vlog post or whatever. And then there's just a handful of assortment of podcasts that are currently uh, out there. One, you've done some with 5 Minute Respawn. Shout out to those guys.
Yeah.
Boomstick Mod, and those guys have their Dart Jam podcast. Archer
Mm-hmm.
has their, but there's not much else out there,
Yeah, for
media
just playing
wise.
writing, yeah, it really is just me at this point. Which I would say, go into it expecting nothing. Just have fun. because doing an actual website, if you're trying to do it for numbers, is way harder than like doing a YouTube channel or an Instagram or a TikTok if people have that downloaded and didn't accidentally delete it earlier this year. Um,
I'm safe.
it's just go into it, have fun with it, and and decide from there what you actually want out of it. Because writing isn't something you can get a lot of views on, so you'd better just be passionate about it.
All right. Well, let's talk about your wife because I know she plays a big part.
Oh
You
yes.
know, in your content, but in your life just in general, and obviously very understanding and patient.
Oh,
But yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
how did you
I
guys
mean,
meet? And just I think it's a lot of fun, and I think it's great when you have a partner that is as understanding.
oh yeah. I mean, we met. It would have been the fall of 2019. So I mean, she knew at that point I was running around doing silly things, whether it was sending updates from HBZ games or yeah. There's a picture of me and my wife. Got married in 2021 in March, and then she's been patient with me when I'm gallivanting off to a game somewhere, or if it's like Maryland Mayhem or N War, she's usually there with me, at least watching for the comp part and then playing with me for the HVZ. Because she enjoys playing, but she isn't an high FPS person. So it
even though
very
she
much.
does have even though she does have an FDL and appears in your
Yeah,
videos.
yeah. That I got one of the basics for her as a gift at one point. So that is hers, and then I just end up borrowing it on occasion if something else breaks.
Very cool. Well, why don't we roll some of this the Bing footage and just talk a little bit about some of your favorite events that you've been
Oh yeah,
to
just
that you
traveling
can
around. Like
remember.
yeah, like this was from 2018, I think it would have been. Yeah. So I mean, this was the old crew. I mean, we have a containment crew there. We have a bunch of people that only
That's
play on and
Joshua.
off. Yeah, there's Thomas. Charles is there
Oh,
somewhere.
that's Thomas. Yep.
Yep. And then it's HBZ, and we'll do silly things like in this case, I literally slapped a Nemesis on top of a Terra Scout, and we drove it across campus and used it. And they're like, how are we going to use this? Because that could be overpowered. And we're like, okay, if the zombies set it on its side, that disables it. And we're like, okay, sure, that works. So at one
That's
point,
funny.
I actually ran into a special that kind of just stood there staring at it and then just went yoink. I was like, okay, great, now I have to use something else. But I mean, the Binghamton, New Paltz, all these New York schools that do all their HVZ games. It's low HVZ, low stress, relatively speaking. It's still HVZ, and you can just run around doing so many things, whether it's something you modified or it's just something you pulled off the shelf. So in my case, it was let's modify a thing to do something it's not meant to do.
And what do you think makes well overall? What do you think makes a good event, and specifically, what makes a good HVZ event versus your casual weekend, local Sunday war in the park?
Yeah, uh, good HBZ. It's having people who that run it that know that are good at balancing everything. Because it really does take a certain subset of people for helping run stuff. I've helped with uh, two of the N wars, and after doing that, I was like, "Yo, never again. This is not me, because I
It's a
enjoy
lot of
playing a
work
lot
and
more.
yeah, a
But
lot of heads. Yeah.
it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of trying to plan for. It's like doing Dungeons and Dragons night, trying to plan for all the ways that your players might like completely screw up the plot and go off on their own tangent. Yeah, it's very much that mindset of this is our plan. If we get down to plan F, how do we keep it still balanced so that everyone is having fun
Right.
and the zombies aren't demoralized to the point where there's not really a game anymore?
Right. Yeah, no balance specifically for HVZ for the humans and for the zombies is extremely important. I'm curious. There has been discussion going around or just talk. Well, how do you feel about the FPS caps in HVZ games? I know some of them are topping out at 130. A
Yeah,
lot of them are at 120, but
yeah,
some are
some small
talking about
schools are still
bringing it back
100. Yeah,
down to
I mean,
100, kind of where it started, you know?
I mean, at the end of the day, you don't need high FPS for shooting people that are running at you.
Yeah,
That's what it comes down to. So, I mean, granted, it messes up all of us that have tuned our toys for a specific FPS, but at the same time, you have so many months advance warning that stuff is operating at this FPS for the better enjoyment of everyone slash
right,
recruiting people to try this for the first time.
sure.
So ultimately, you don't need the extra FPS. I mean, like the example I can think of off the bat is New Pulse for I don't know what they run it at now, but for the longest time it was just 100 FPS limit. If it's like rival off the shelf, fine, but beyond that, that's the limit you have. And I mean,
Right,
and even then they were like, if you're not allowed hoppers, so it limited it to like a chaos or carrying a bunch of stigmags on you for doing it, which again helps with the balance. But in the end, you don't need that FPS.
yeah. And I think the discussion, again, it goes down to how do you balance the game? And, again, we've kind of evolved to these high performing blasters where they're shooting 200 FPS off the Walmart store shelf.
Yeah,
But essentially, we're playing. And again, this is just me just
and we're
talking.
playing in
Uh,
public.
Sure. But the game essentially is a game of tag,
Mhm.
and when playing tag, you don't need a high, a powerful, performing
No,
blaster,
you absolutely
essentially.
don't. No.
And again, I think you said it again. It does, I think the play style has changed a little bit for the zombies, where their strategy has maybe become a little bit more aggressive, which can, I don't know. There's some discussion I think that needs to be had.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you are
When
in
you
the
have so
chat,
many
I am
people
very
shooting,
curious
yeah,
what your thoughts on are
when you have
regarding this.
so many people doing 130 FPS with however many darts per second, ultimately, I mean, you can try to swing it the other way by giving zombies perks or doing special ammo or doing other things, but that also makes the rules more complicated
Right.
and it makes it, especially once you get enough people going at it, it can end up being a worse time for everyone. So
Yeah. Yeah.
a lot of times,
You
keep
know,
it simple, stupid is the best policy.
Yeah, I used to be the thought of, oh well, the higher FPS, the zombies, they're gonna know to get tagged, because sometimes you just don't feel the hit, and there's no. Oftentimes, once you pass that threshold, you're gonna feel 120, 130, and there's no
Yeah.
argument
Uh-huh.
about it. But again, I think that may take away some of the fun. Again, debatable. May take some of the fun and appeal from playing as zombie, which is arguably more fun than playing a human in many
And it's
cases for a
literally
lot of
half the
people.
game. So, I mean, if
Yeah,
you don't have that,
absolutely.
what do you have?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So again, if you're in the chat, I'm very curious on your opinions. What do you think about decreasing or lowering the FPS caps to a more standard cap of like 100, or keeping them around stock numbers? Do you think that would affect the game in a positive, or would people complain and again, you said it, people want to be able to tune their blasters, and mod,
Yeah.
but they didn't have, no one was complaining before, that existed. So,
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So,
here we have having never played HBZ. I hope in Maryland I can last a couple hours. If Horde gets me early, I will be very bummed. I mean, when the Horde gets you
stay
early,
away from the UMBC zombies. You'll be
yes.
fine.
I mean, if it's your first time playing, stick with a group of people that know what they're doing, and go into it knowing that at some point you will die. Just once you accept that as a fact, whether it's 5 minutes in, 5 hours in, you can just have fun, and then when you join the winning side, your next goal is to bring your friends with you.
I'm going to try to plead with the zombies if I get in trouble. I'll be like, oh, this is my first time. Please, I just want to make it to lunch, please. And see.
Find a group of new ones and then have Boomstick show up behind you like, what are you doing, Andrew?
I will say, I will give you this tip, Eddie Griff, is if you see Boomstick mods, he's probably a media zombie pretending to film you, but he's really just going to tag you. So stay away from Boomstick
pay attention
mods.
To where the bandana is.
That's right.
If it's on their head, they're an active zombie, whether they're recording or not.
So, but yeah, I think we were talking about what makes a good event is for HVZ kind of balancing out the games, but what else makes for a good successful event that you like attending? Like, do you like the long format weekend that End War and RAG and?
Yeah, I absolutely love the long format. It's between the RAG 2019 going to End War or Maryland Mayhem. The long format is a lot of fun in that, at the beginning is as easy or as hard as you want to make it on yourself. And then as you go on and the difficulty ramps up, it's just a challenge. I had a train of thought and it's left the station. The long formats, because shorter games are nice too, like you said, doing the nightly games at UMBC, but having the long format means you can pack for a weekend, bring all your goodies, or in my case, my baddies, and just run around doing things until you die. So if it turns out I survive until the end using nothing but a Rev Reaper, so be it. I will go out having fun.
One thing I really enjoy, at least when it comes to HVZ, are kind of the theatrics and what I call flavor of the game, which I think Survival Fest does extremely well. Do you like those kind of games, or are you more like? Do you like the presentation, or do you like the mission?
I prefer more the mission mechanics than the extra flavor.
Sure.
But if they're willing to put in the extra work to have the flavor and not sacrifice anything on the other end, by all means, go for it.
Sure.
I guess the other thing I like about now the thought's coming back to me is when you have these long games that are, in theory, it's winnable. You're not going to, but there's always that possibility of the humans do everything right, the zombies do everything wrong, and at the very end, for final stand, there's this human off in the corner waiting like, I'm still here, did we complete the objective? So when it's theoretically possible to be able to do it, it's a lot more motivating than having it just hard difficulty right off the bat, I guess.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I will say, I do think, depending which event you go to, large scale HVZs aren't super conducive to being your first event, even though it's a lot of fun and everything.
No. It's fun, but it's such chaos. Yes.
Being thrown into the fire, literally, as your first event, I could see how that could be discouraging and may turn some people off. So
all the moderator pauses for trying to solve something that's gone wrong in the game, or if someone got hurt and they have to check everything. Yeah, something small is a lot easier for doing your first time than jumping into a giant game.
Sure. Well, we're getting to that time, but I want to get your opinion and just let the audience, the viewers know what are some events that you would recommend that you've been to and that you may be going to that you would recommend others going checking out.
Okay, well, obviously Maryland's Mayhem is a great game.
Oh,
Um,
shucks, stop.
yes, Ragfest if you live on the West Coast or have a weekend where you can fly out and play in, San Jose, San Francisco area. That those games are always well done, whether it's the Stalking Dead part or the King of the Hill competitive. Um, Mutation Madness is a great format. It's really tough. If anything, it suffers from trying to uh, run for run it kind of like D&D, where we have leveling things up and things don't always mesh every year when they change the rules. But even on the years where it's not the best, it's still a lot of fun. And then really just attend your local club. People always look for the big events, but there is always people somewhere in the area. Maybe you found them, maybe you haven't, but just getting together once in a while to shoot the shit or fling foam at each other.
Absolutely. So we'll see you at Maryland Mayhem. We'll hopefully see you on the West Coast. We'll definitely see you at your local events in Ohio at Kane.
Absolutely,
so
yes.
check that out. Hopefully, I'll get a chance to join you guys sooner than later. We'll get some of the Maryland crew to take a trip up there, crash at your place in RJ's, and get over there.
As long as you give me enough warning for my wife to make me clean the basement.
Okay, that's fair. Fair. Where can people find you online and more information about Blaster Hub? Where can people find you?
Well, obviously, blasterhub.com, and then all the social media related to that is also Blaster Hub, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Technically, there's a Twitter, but it never gets used. But but just anything related to it's also under Blaster Hub.
Awesome. Well, Buff, I'm again no longer calling you B Diddy. Buff, appreciate you joining us this evening. Thank you for taking the time out. Definitely looking forward to for you coming down, seeing you at Maryland Mayhem. Hopefully, I'll get a chance to come up and visit you guys sooner than later. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. I forget who we have on, but we'll be back next week live streaming with Al the Geek and Captain Xavier, who will be celebrating someone's birthday. So bring some cheesecake. I hear there's cheesecake involved. So get your cheesecake and your candles and get ready to celebrate for the next Get Off My Lawn show next Wednesday. But again, thank you so much for joining us. We'll appreciate you. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, like, subscribe, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Be good at flinging foam, and don't forget to dart sweep. Have a good one, guys.